We're not also ever looking for that angle on the ramp. We're looking for a nice, slow, steady, long drive that we can get out there.
This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I have an ultra entrepreneur from rags to riches in a different way, Sid Mashburn, CEO, founder of Mashburn.
Nice to see you, man. Thank you so much.
So we have some B-roll of what this business is about.
Right.
You are truly an entrepreneur because you grew up in Mississippi.
Yep.
Your dad, you wanted to be a designer.
Yeah.
Obviously, your southern dad there in Mississippi is probably like, no, that's not for you.
Actually, he just didn't know what it was and what it meant.
Right.
Because I asked him if I could go to fashion school midway through college because I was kind of fumbling. And he said no. But as soon as I graduated, he said, you see that car out there? Sell it. Go to New York, see if you can figure it out.
Really?
So he was going there.
Yeah.
He's just like, do what you went to do first and finish that.
I find today that the same problem exists in entrepreneurship because, sons ask their parents for advice.
Yeah.
Even though I say beware of, taking advice from your parents because just because they love you doesn't mean they know what they're talking about.
Right.
Right. But
I'm proof.
Right. It's even harder today because, we're looking at one of your executive associates over there, and you're like, he does digital media for the masters.
Right.
Most people even our age, they really can't get a grasp on half the professions in entrepreneur visions today because we don't understand everything they're doing.
That's right.
What advice do you give those? Because you're someone that lived through this yourself, to a young entrepreneur that may not be able to explain to their parents what exactly it is they want to do, but to allow them to have their support. Because it means a lot to have their support.
I think in a funny sense, you probably know this, or if you don't know what I'm going to say, you have your own version of it. And part of it starts with a G and ends with a G. It's about grinding, okay? And when you're grinding at something you love, it doesn't feel grindy, okay? It's like, I could do this all day, every day, and even not sleep. I love the idea of being able to meet people, connect with them, work on something that could be beneficial to their life and share it with them, not sell it to them. Because I'm not really selling because I'm sharing it. And when I share it, they're like, okay, this makes sense for my life, because in a sense we become a solution provider. So I'm helping a guy or girl, especially Ann in particular, she's better with people than I am.
Your wife, Ann.
Yeah, and so it's like, how do we make it a really nice situation? Our stores are meant that when you come in, it's a welcome place, it's a respite. We're there to refresh you and take care of you. And then if you like the vibe and what's going on in there, you talk about vibration a little bit, then it starts resonating, and then you're like, this is my place. So we even staff the store that way in a sense, a little bit like Ocean's 8 or Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Young, old, black, white, fat, skinny, all those guys. Everybody needs an Alan Arkin. In the store, we have an Alan Arkin.
So I noticed that, but yet, although you had complete diversity demographically at the store, there was a certain similarity in the way people treated each other. From the time I walked in, you talked about the vibe, I noticed it was a huge energetic smile. It was only, how can I help you? How can I be of service?
Right.
And then you came in and you were still, hey, to your people, this energy of how can I provide value to you?
Right.
And the whole place is lighting up, and then everyone that sees you, it's the same from the exposed tailors, your master tailor that you have exposed in the store so people feel comfortable about fitting into your custom clothes, to the person in the back. Everyone had the same vibe.
Yeah, it needs to, you're infectious, man, and so you want to be able to share that, because in the end, we're trying to lift other people's boats. And we say, we don't really have a tagline per se, but we do, if we did have one, it's enhancing people's lives. That's a little much for clothes, okay? But you're in them all day, they're close to your skin, and it's usually after your smile or your countenance, that's the second impression they have of you. What's the guy or girl wearing?
It's interesting because the what you wear side of things, especially in the business that I'm in, I actually feel better. Like for example, this jacket, the comment that I always get is the color.
Yeah.
I love the color of that. That's really, and to me, I feel good wearing it. And then some days you put on the wrong clothes. You know, fitting, for example, is important to me because my wife bought me a shirt. It was fitted. It's slim fit, right? Neiman Marcus slim fit.
Yeah.
And I put it on. I felt like a 10-pound sausage in a 5-pound bag, right?
Something that was meant to make you feel better made you feel worse.
Yeah, my wife, I told her, I go, why'd you buy me a slim fit? I put on 10 pounds. She goes, well, I thought that meant to make you look slim. I go, no, it's actually to fit slim people. Anyway, you said something about grinding, and it's really important to me because my whole philosophy in life is what you just described, which is enjoy the consistent every day.
Yeah.
Persistent without quit.
Yeah.
Pursuit of your potential. But enjoy it.
Yes.
Right? And that's grinding.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you go to New York as a young Southern kid out of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And you're in the fashion industry. And, you know, that place either loves you, takes you in, or spits you out.
Yeah.
You grinded your way to success in New York City.
Yeah, a gift from God, my parents, my siblings, my friends. Because I got there and thought I kind of got there on my own.
Yeah.
I was not that humble or mature enough to understand that this has been in the making for my whole life. And that all the things that I've gotten along the way were what made this even possible. But the one thing it did teach me is, and this is something we share with everybody that comes to work here. Ludwig has heard this before. You're Ludwig, and get to work before everybody else does and leave after they leave. Not screwing around, but there to see how much you can enjoy out of what it is you do. Because if you do really enjoy it, you won't want to leave, and you'll want to get there early. Yeah. So, and I want to be careful also, because I probably do, and I don't realize it. I don't want my work to be an idol, but it may be. Yeah. And so I have to kind of push back against that. But it's difficult because it feels like it's such a second nature. I don't really play golf. I'll squeeze in some tennis now and then, but this is golf to me.
It's amazing you say that because people talk about, oh, Dave, how do you keep this balance with your family and this and that, and you work so much? I said, first of all, I believe that I don't work. Yeah. And it's not because I love what I do, because I don't even think that we are born into something that we love. I believe that we learn to love what we do through that consistent, persistent behavior. But for me, my whole sense comes from my life is full of activities. Right. And I've been blessed with the ability to choose the activities that I do and enjoy those activities. I just maximize the activity I get paid for. Yeah. I had a kid.
Is that in your book?
Yeah. That's my new one's
I need to write that one down.
That's in the game time decision making. But more importantly too, people don't know you can do, once you separate work from in that fashion, then you can't do business with your wife. Yeah. Right? You can't have a business meeting with your kids there where they actually get, if my kids go to dinner with my wife and I, who they consistently see or touch every day, which I do, text them. Right. A lot of times they're on their phone. Yeah. There's nothing to learn really. Right. It's the same old, and plus they're teenagers, so they're resistant to anything I have to say right now. Right. But if I take them to meet Bernard King. Yeah. Right, and do business with Bernard King. My work. Yeah. I've just provided lessons that they're amazed. Yeah. And he has so much to share with them. And they leave dinner going, I want to go dinner with you again, Dad. Now, why is that work? Or did I take my kids to it's my life. It's the activities that I have. Yeah. And I can tell by the way this business is set up. One of the things that I wanted to get to with the entrepreneur side is that you started a business pretty much in a really bad economy, probably the worst since the Depression. Yes. And with a really bad location. Yeah. And you're a high-end clothier, custom clothier in sense, right? Selling $2,000 suits. You have other stuff, but did you get any resistance or people telling you were crazy? Yes, and a lot of people even after the fact said, man, I was scared to tell you how bad it was going to be. And even people, I'd been, my most previous job was I was the SVP of Design and PR at Land's End in Wisconsin. And when I got there, it was a $1.2 billion brand. When I left, it was a $2 billion brand. So we had a nice little run up over 6+ years. Yeah. And I knew what a big brand looked like, and working for Tommy Hilfiger and J. Crew and Ralph Lauren, I was like, well, I can do what they've done. Maybe not to the degree and the same level of success, but I know what's
what some of the ingredients are, and we think we can do that. And so the guys that I'd done business with at Lands End lost confidence after I wasn't at Lands End anymore. Not completely though.
Yeah.
And I was able to pull favors from people saying, yeah, we'll ride with you for a while. As a matter of fact, one of them's here today is an Italian shirting mill, who their minimums were X. Well, they allowed me to do 0.5X
Right.
to get started. So your friendships and your relationships became the key to how do we start this business, and also finding people that would allow us to give these tiny order quantities and push them through. So it was very difficult. My wife was a very reluctant retailer. She's pretty risk averse. I didn't, kind of the way you were just phrasing work, it wasn't a risk to me.
Right.
It's like I've seen it happen and how successful it can be. And that's not to say that we're, everything's roses and we're doing fantastically, because it's still
growing.
Yeah. It's a growth business. But at the same time, we saw what we could do. And over the course of the time, the business was growing when other people were really, this is 2007. The business was going fast the other way. Our business was going, not like this, but at a nice pace. And so we were able to take care of people. People were coming back to see us. And that's probably one of the things that we've been most successful with is the return customers. I mean, people, once they start buying with us and we start taking care of them, they like what we do.
And it was amazing. I've never seen someone articulate so well what I call the 5 to thrive, which is you stimulate interest, you transition interest, you share a vision, which you hit like the first 5 minutes I met with you. Then you explained to me, but the most important part, David, is I manage and develop the vision, right? I make sure that relationship is there, that they come back, and not only come back, but they tell other people as well, the stickiness of your business,
Right.
Because then it thrives.
Right.
Right? It's the cheapest way to do business is to do business the right way.
And that translates into word of mouth advertising.
Which is essential to what you do.
Exactly.
And where did you develop that side of it? Was it from the mentorship of J. Crew or Ralph Lauren or any of these people that you work with, or was it just something that you grew up in your family where, I'm just a person that's grateful, I do good deeds, I treat people the way they do, I try to keep my word, right? I'm a promise keeper, that's a big thing for me. Just
Right.
whatever it takes, keep your promises to your children,
Right.
To your customers, whatever it cost you. I think you even said you made an investment in another clothing business one time. You said, Dave, and believe it or not, they didn't succeed, and who gave me the money back?
Unbelievable.
Right? I was in my head, I know that person,
Yeah.
and I said, that guy's a promise keeper.
Yeah.
If that guy ever asked me for an investment,
Yeah.
I would have it for him.
He's unbelievable.
And that's a word of mouth.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
That's right.
And that's more powerful than anything else I could have experienced. Where did you learn that?
What's funny is I learned it from Lands End all the way back to, being my parents' kid. And my parents raised me that way. My mother's family were in the retail business, and they were small town merchants. Clothes, furniture, implement, hardware. Tiny town, not a lot of money, but they served everybody from, sharecropper to a person that seemed, prosperous, but they didn't have that much money either.
Right.
And so I never made that connection through life, but I grew up loving clothes because I had older siblings who loved clothes and would say, you should do this, you should do that. Literally when I'm 9, 10 years old, I'm picking out my clothes. And so it came time to get my driver's license. And in Mississippi at that time, you get it at 15. Literally the day I got my license, I drove straight from there to a clothing store to get a job because I wanted to work in a clothing store. So I did that, and the only other type of job I had till I graduated from college was working in restaurants, which was the other piece, because the hospitality, the refreshment, the service, and it's not so different than somebody like a Houston's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Copeland.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, fantastic. Danny Meyer, fantastic. These are people who make it's paramount to take care of the customer. Then you'd be putting pimento and cheese on some crackers and putting it out there, and people would feel taken care of. So anyway, my family grew up with a bit of a sort of a hospitality gene, okay? And that's all around Mississippi pretty much. People, a friend of ours that used to work for us, another intern, who was trying to get a job at GQ. He was at Morehouse. He said, Sid, can I go to Ole Miss for the weekend to a football game? I said, sure, no problem. Just make sure you schedule it right. He said, you think it's okay for me to go? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, it's Ole Miss. You know. I was like, just go. And he went and he came back. He said, I didn't meet a stranger. He said, it was the craziest thing. He said, everywhere I went, people were like, hey man, come in, get you a Coke and some nuggets or a beer, make yourself at home. And it's kind of the way of life there in a sense. And it's not saying life there is perfect or
right.
Idyllic, but it's people do like to help take care of you. So that was helpful. The people that I work for in New York, like you said, people in New York, they don't want to give it to you, but once they realize that you're invested,
oh yeah,
it starts opening. My first tie maker, Walter Schick, he's about this tall until he stands on his wallet. And he's really tall. He makes ties, but he's in the real estate business, and he's the most beautiful guy. He told me one time, he said, Sid, make sure you get your girlfriend early, because if you wait too long, by that time her personality is formed, yours is formed. You can't grow together. I'm like, that's the kind of people I met.
Exactly.
Just by placing a tie order with him at J. Crew.
Yeah.
So New York is funny that way, because as cold and as hard as it can be, it's also as sharpening and as smoothing out as any place can be. So it's a great place that way.
And I'm always amazed in New York, everyone has their story. Oh my God, I left my wallet on the seat of a cab and the guy found me and right? They still, there's something different about New York City. Now the last point that I want to get to before we have to end is every single entrepreneur in some fashion is an innovator. Right, and I've done a little bit of due diligence. My lead intern, Ludovic, introduced us, which is extraordinary. But the one thing that he pointed out was you were kind of the first person that truly allowed an online customization for shirts. Yeah. Saw a vision before. Now it's the biggest fad. I do elevator pitches at Fashion Innovation, and everybody has a customized app and this. You can get every piece of clothing customized for yourself, right? But this is 2007.
Yeah.
When you did that, did you, talk someone through, because there's so many different great ideas, but to make money from it, which you were able to do to grow a business, how did that work?
Well, the thing, what we said we were going to do, because so many people in the business, and a lot of people that were coming into the business were people that were very well educated and very smart and knew about the internet and the opportunities it availed. They weren't really product people, okay? I grew up the other way. I came up surely through product and customer service. And so in a way, it kind of gave us a leg up, because we're authentic. We were chefs. We were not people that paid for, we weren't just a restaurateur per se. And so that kind of shaped what we were going to do. And we said, we don't cut any corners in what we make, okay? So our fabrics are the finest in the world. We go to the very best mills in the world. Our buttons, 3.5 pieces of Trocus pearl, okay? It's not mother of pearl, and some people say mother of pearl is nicer. We're like, it casts a color though. We don't like that, okay? Nice. So then we use German interlinings. We use 22 stitches per inch. People are like, 22 stitches, 16 inches, 18 inches, not a big deal. It's like, it is to us, because that means it's taking the sewer longer to take it through the machine, okay? So we're adding time to the production process because we want it a particular way, all right? And so our master tailor cuts all of our patterns, and he's on our shirt video. He's brilliant, and he's an engineer, he's a mentor, he's a dad in some ways, he's an artist, he's a tailor, he's just a fantastic guy. And he's like, we're not doing it the cheap way, we're doing it the right way. Now that doesn't mean there aren't some shortcuts that are good. So we put all that together and said, how do we make the best product and get it to the customer as efficiently as possible? Ours takes a little longer, okay? And also we take more measurements, and we have more points of measurement on the body than a lot of other people do, because we think that's important. So, and we're not also ever looking for that angle on the ramp. We're looking for a nice, slow, steady, long drive that we can get out there. So
this has been an amazing lesson. I have to go back myself and listen to this again, because there's so many points that not only would I wish the entrepreneurs to listen to, but my own children, about philosophies and energy, pragmatic things. And the one thing that came to mind as we were finishing up is that I had a certain feel when I came in, and I figured it out that, you know, you are an expert in your space, right? You have the experience, the situation knowledge, the relationship capital. But where people need to watch and why you're successful is that you applied what you learned at the restaurant to what your expertise was. And I think it's important for entrepreneurs to learn this, because now that I revisited my mind when I walked in, and first you have the master chef.
Right.
Right? Then you were just like in the restaurant business, they allowed you to see the kitchen.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
And that's what it was like when I looked over at the tailors in the side. It's like, oh, he exposed his kitchen.
Right. It's
Right?
like
I know
Wolfgang
the
Puck.
quality of meat. I know the, right? And it makes a difference. And then also it makes a difference that the master chef came out to say hello to me.
Right.
Right? And then you had the maitre d'.
Right.
Right? And I'm walking in through my mind as you're describing your business. I'm like, this is what kids and entrepreneurs of all ages need to know. That don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
Apply what you've learned from all the different experiences, from your parents, your grandparents, your businesses, your job. Like, I applied my sales job when I was selling encyclopedias when I was in college to making hundreds of millions of dollars. Right? I had a revenue of 17 billion at Thomson Reuters because I was applying the simple thing that I learned from 2 appointments a night in college of selling an educational system.
Right.
But now I got to do it for Legal Research Online, to the Supreme Court, and to the, all these huge things.
That's cool.
That's what you were able to do. And I am a huge fan.
Well, thank you.
I commend you. Your products are beautiful, but even more than that, a lot of people can have good products. It's the service, the attention, and the people that you've hired, and the culture that you've created that will make Mashburn. It's growing quickly, but make it a name to be remembered. So
that's one other piece
Please.
to add is what you just said is the people that we work with. A lot of the learnings have been in the 12 years since we've been open, from the guys and the girls on the floor and the people that work here. Mentors, mentees go both ways. Leadership starts here. It's up and down the ladder. So the people we've been so fortunate to get all the people we have. That's a blessing you can't even describe.
Well, I appreciate your mentorship. This is Sid Mashburn with Dave Meltzer, Entrepreneur, The Playbook.